In the peaceful nation of Arcania, the day began exactly the same way for Ethan Volkov. Every morning, before the sun fully cleared the horizon, the silence of his two-story suburban house would break with a familiar call from his father to wake up. That routine was forged out of necessity. When Ethan was only 6 years old, his mother, Elena, was killed in a car accident. With no extended family to lean on, his father, Adrian, stepped into the gap. He raised Ethan alone, ensuring the boy never felt the absence of a mother. Decades passed. Ethan grew up to become one of Arcania's brightest software engineers, landing a position at Apex Dynamics, the country's leading technology firm. Their lives had reached a state of quiet, predictable stability. To Ethan, his father was the one constant in a life defined by early loss. That certainty shattered on a random weekday evening. Ethan returned home from work expecting his father's usual greeting, but instead, he walked into total silence. This 3D wireframe maps the layout of the Volkov home. In the kitchen, an untouched breakfast sat dried on the table. Adrian's phone, wallet, and keys remained exactly where they belonged. Everything was perfectly in place, except Adrian. All structural entry points remained secure. There were no broken locks, no damaged glass, and no blood. It created an immediate paradox. A person cannot physically vanish from a secured suburban home without taking a single item required for basic survival and without leaving a single trace of their exit. The North Haven police launched a massive investigation. They questioned neighbors and canvassed every possible exit route, while the nature of the disappearance rapidly dominated Arcania's national news broadcasts. This network graph shows a standard digital footprint where investigators expected to find data. Instead, they hit a total vacuum. As you can see, the surveillance node drops to 0. No CCTV cameras caught Adrian. The financial node is entirely blank, and the telecom node shows no mobile pings. Experts on television argued over various theories. Some suggested a kidnapping. Others pointed to Ethan's position at Apex Dynamics and claimed it was corporate espionage. A few even suggested Adrian had staged the entire event to escape his life, but those theories collapsed under basic scrutiny. A person staging an escape does not leave behind their wallet and phone. A violent kidnapping leaves physical evidence in the home. The investigation suggested something far more deliberate than a standard disappearance, a complete erasure of a human being from a modern city. The total silence of the case lasted for exactly 5 nights. Then, at 2:17 a.m., a faint mechanical hum outside Ethan's apartment woke him. He walked out onto his balcony to find a sleek, unbranded black drone hovering silently in the dark. Without a sound, the machine dropped a tiny, heavily encrypted storage drive onto the concrete floor. Before Ethan could reach for it, the drone accelerated rapidly into the night sky. Seconds later, a bright flash illuminated the clouds. An onboard thermal destruction system activated, and the drone ignited its own circuitry, raining molten fragments onto the empty street below. By burning itself from the inside out, the delivery mechanism left investigators with no traceable components. The only surviving object was the storage drive sitting on Ethan's balcony. Ethan now held physical evidence that someone was tracking him, someone using hardware that local police could not trace. The encryption on the drive was military grade. Ethan worked continuously through 3 sleepless days to finally break the code. He expected a massive cache of data, but the drive contained no ransom demands and no text documents. When the decryption finished, the desktop displayed only a single, unlabeled video file isolated in the center of a black screen. He clicked play, and a dim underground room flickered into view. The walls were raw concrete, lit by a single hanging bulb. In the center of the frame sat a woman. Her wrists were tied to the arms of a metal chair. Bruises covered her face, and dried blood marked her lips. Around her, staying outside the circle of light, stood several unidentifiable, shadowed figures. The absence of any ransom note or ultimatum left the focus entirely on the person in the chair. Slowly, the bound woman lifts her head toward the harsh glare of the hanging light, staring directly into the camera lens. Ethan's breathing stopped. He recognized the face immediately. The woman tied to the chair was Elena Volkov. It was his mother, the woman whose funeral he had attended. the woman the nation believed had died in an accident 2 decades earlier. The footage suggested a localized conspiracy. An organization had faked a civilian's death, imprisoned her in secrecy, and kept her alive for 20 years without triggering a single alarm. The discovery reframed Adrian's disappearance as the result of a much older secret. It was a revelation that some deaths are faked and some victims are simply hidden.